Hello, brothers. I am through March 19th, which is the videos through March 19th, which is the video that Eric and I did together down in Chicago. And as I mentioned before, rather than ignoring a bunch of past videos, I'm trying to actually respond to them to give Eric some credence to doing them rather than just kind of stepping through them and such. So I'm not sure exactly. I think this is not actually a response at all, but there's a song "Take Me to Church" by, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Hosier, maybe? Hosier. Someone can make fun of me for mispronouncing that if you'd like. I was listening to that after a associate pastor at our church mentioned that he thought it was a good idea to continue to listen to pop music some, because you should actually have something in common with the common culture so that you don't get totally divorced from it and thus don't have any non-Christian friends and things. So that I popped on the local pop music station, and that's one of the songs that I heard, and I thought that was interesting. And then I saw the music video that it's about like beating and or perhaps culturally killing a gay guy, I think. Anyway, look at it. I was thinking about making some sort of point at church to the youth group, to the high schoolers, but I'm curious as to your opinion as to whether or not that'd be a bit too strong of a video to show to them. I mean, obviously the point I could make in increasing levels of directness, but that's something I'd like your opinion about. Link, or specifically The Legend of Zelda. Gavin knows this. The news is for Eric. I found, I think it's like Zelda Classic online. You can just download it on your computer and you can play the original Legend of Zelda on your computer. It's pretty good. I think I flipped the keys around to be A, S, D, W for, up, down, right, up, and then 4 and plus over here kind of on the right side of the keyboard for, something over there that's just A and B for sword and whatever the other thing, boomerang, bomb, whatever they are. So those are... So I think that was pretty cool. I introduced Gavin to it so he kind of understands it a bit, and he understands the, this is the ordinary music, this is the dungeon music, this is the you found a secret music, and he figured out how to walk through the wall like near the tree at the dead end, and he figured out how to push a block without me introducing it to him, except for like saying, hey, there's a secret here, figure out what it is. You figured it out, yeah, it's fun. So that was cool. So like the baton thing that we were talking about before, rather than pushing it forward, kind of having an understanding backwards, these are some things that a lot of people who are older than you have in common, so you should kind of know them. Goochmeister-tastic. On the D&D side, I think it's interesting that you guys, that is, say, you two, Dad and Dan, play differently, let's go with that, than the PCs that I'm working with right now, which are Billy Bob and essentially several of his friends. They're just different. Well, not just different. They're different in many ways, and the way that's particularly standing out right now is that they're a lot more. They're slower. They're more deliberate, and they kind of get distracted with, they don't find the most important thing to do and just go track it down. Instead, they try to split up and do many things at once and such. And maybe in character, if you had only one day, then it makes more sense to split up. But in practical reality, I can only run one thing at once. This isn't like Vampire where you have like multiple storytellers and you can have this side going over here and that side going on over here, and you have a wall in between them. It's just not like that, because you only have one DM. So it's interesting. They just met Eeyore. They're slowly figuring out the Giants stuff. Rather than they have Giant's blood, they have the inert. They have an inert belt of giant strength, and they just need to use it, and they're not. And it's, they could go to the bigger city and do that, but instead they feel like really tied down to their town, partially for role-playing purposes and such, because I said that they were all young, like 16, 17-year-olds, and they've gotten a lot of experience over the course of like 2 or 3 weeks, which is kind of funny considering that they went from level 1 to level like 4 in that period of time, but go figure. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. I'd like to know what you think about that. Eric, maybe you DM some. Gavin, you do some things like that. I'm not sure if you have any real experience as to when it happens in different circumstances or with different players. I'm curious if you have any thoughts on that. More poetry. Oh no, a tree. Super cheesy. Eric, I'd prefer like an intellectual talk and personal anecdotes and those sorts of things. I like your idea that talking by video is kind of more reflective than you can kind of prepare something rather than just having a conversation. So I like that. No, you don't have to read poetry. No, you don't have to write poetry. If you do, then fine, but don't think that's a huge deal. You asked me to explain free cycles. I know what Free Cycle is. It's the website that lost its trademark because it failed to police it. It was a system of folks sharing essentially you post, hey, does anyone have any cardboard boxes or sand or some size 4 jeans or whatever, and you post it to people who are around you, and then you can you can say this is what I want or this is what I have, and people can claim it. The idea is that it has to be free and you can't charge anything for shipping or anything like that. So most of the time you just say, hey, here it is, come pick it up, or it's on the curb right now, first come first serve, or whatever. But that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about like computers or processing power or something like that. Like a computer can process 1,000 things a second, and if it's not using them, then it can like donate them off. And this is kind of how Bitcoin mining works. It's the same sort of system, but I don't really know much about it except for the fact that it exists. But I'm not sure how the processing calls kind of work and how the discussions work between them. It's kind of out of my alley, I guess. I don't care much for Pi Day or sibling day or birthdays or anything. I mean, it's an excuse to do some things sometimes and to think about things sometimes, like, hey, Gavin, it's your birthday. We like you. Let's celebrate you, because we don't get to do that terribly often. And Christmas, let's pay attention to this. And Easter, let's pay attention to this. And Valentine's Day, let's pay attention to this. But oversaturation is something that I pay a lot of attention about, so I just ignore those sorts of things, particularly Pi Day. If Rachel makes pie, I'll eat it, but that's pretty much my thought process on that. I feel like saying sorry, not sorry. Contrarianism and St. Patrick's Day. Eric, I'd like your story, because at one point I thought you intentionally wore orange, which is like a Protestant thing, where green is like a Catholic thing, and you did that once, and then I brought it up again, and you said, hey, no, that's stupid, just wear green, and everyone's okay with that, and it's not a Catholicism versus Protestants thing anymore. It's just a green is St. Patrick's Day, period. I don't know. I'm curious as to your thoughts on that. Did that actually happen, or am I just making this up? Final news is that I am still a elder candidate. There's 15 nominations for 5 spots that they want to nominate people for, because they can do a little less and a little more, but they want to keep it at 5. Usually people get whittled down, but I'm not sure if that'll happen. They haven't talked to me at all yet, so I have no idea if it'll actually pan out to anything. So I'll just let you know if something happens. So, yeah. Easy sign-off phrase.